This is the plaintiff, Delvon Corbin. He says the defendant, his nephew, is only 27 years old and already has gangster-like qualities about him. When the defendant's mom, his sister, passed away, he paid for her funeral, and the defendant promised to reimburse him when he received a $20,000 check from his mom's estate. The defendant still owes him $150, and that's just what he's suing for today. This is the defendant, Warnell Bright. He says he can't believe he's being sued for $150 when he already paid his uncle $5,000 to cover the funeral cost of his mom. He feels he overpaid his uncle because he was the one who planned and organized the funeral without his involvement and thinks the plaintiff pulled something shady. He's accused of letting down an uncle. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,000 for the overpayment of funeral services.
Okay. Devlon Corbin, you are suing your nephew, Warnell Bright, for $150 that you say he owes you over his mother's funeral. What's going on?
His mother, my sister, passed in November.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
My older sister from Florida came up, and she and I put together the money for the funeral. And inside the funeral parlor, we had an agreement signed up by the funeral director that Warnell will pay us both back by Christmas Eve.
Okay, but tell me how the discussions between you and Warnell come up about him paying you back at all. Like, how does your sister dies, and then who is talking to whom about who's paying for the funeral? How does that happen?
Well, actually, my sister and I were both going to pay for it until they discovered, in running through my deceased sister's house, that they found some insurance papers that had a check. No, they found a check for $20,000 that my sister had, and it never deposited into her bank. She was just holding for several months. So since my older sister and I was going to pay for the funeral, and Warnell suddenly got some money, I figured we would draw up an agreement inside the funeral director's house, office, for him to pay us back that money.
So it sounds like you were going to pay for the funeral until you found out that he had money coming to him and he could pay for the funeral.
Exactly, but he didn't have
now,
the cash.
Now, the funeral was going to cost $8,000, correct? How much did the funeral cost?
Well, I have the papers.
Okay, well, then you have the answer?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Would you like to see it?
Yeah, but just tell me, the funeral was going to cost how much? You put up $5,100,
yes,
and your older sister put up another $3,000 something.
My sister put up $3,609.
Okay.
And so we had this drawn up by the funeral director. We all three signed it.
At that point, did he know that he was going to come into some money?
He already had come into some money. He'd come into the check for $20,000.
But how did you guys find that? I guess I'm sort of curious how this happens. How did you guys find that out, that he was going to get $20,000?
My sister and I, the whole family, everyone except probably Warnell, because I found out from my deceased sister, he wasn't coming, he'd never come by to visit her. But anyway, we were going by to visit her, and it would have helped, of course, if we had had some extra money to pay for the funeral. And so they rummaged through her apartment, and they were able to find this check.
When she was alive?
No, after she had died.
After she died, people were rummaging through her apartment.
My sister and my cousin and some other family members.
Okay, and did they give him the check?
Yes, they did.
So tell me about the first discussion that you have with him about him being responsible for the funeral that you and your sister were planning.
That was inside the funeral home.
While the funeral was going on?
Yes.
What I'm trying to get at is I'm trying to understand if when he goes there, he knows that you're going to have him sign a promissory note. Yes or no?
No, he did not know at that time.
Okay, so he goes to the funeral home on the day of his mother's funeral to meet with you guys because you tell him, what did they tell you?
I went there because the night my mom's passed, they had went to the funeral to make arrangements. I felt like they was doing something sneaky behind my back. To say that we found the check when we was at my mom's house looking through her stuff, the check was already missing. He the one told me in February when my mom's laptop was missing that the check was in my laptop. That's when my cousin must have took my mom's keys when she was in the hospital and came to her house, was snooping around, because the note that I got that I only know where stuff is at in the house, she called my aunt while we was in there telling her.
I've totally lost you. Your mom dies when? November?
November 27th.
Okay, when did you learn about the check?
I already knew about the check.
Okay, how did you know about the check?
Was missing?
No, how'd you know that there was a check at all?
My mom's already let me know.
Told you about it? Okay.
Yeah.
So when she was alive, she told you there's a check for you. All right. Then when do you realize the check is missing?
This was like 2 weeks before she passed.
2 weeks before she passed.
Yeah.
So when he says you weren't visiting your mom, that's just a lie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so you realize the check is missing, and then what happens?
I realized the check in the laptop was missing. I asked my mom's what happened to the laptop. My aunt said she had took my mom's laptop in September.
Are you saying that the aunt took the laptop without authorization?
Yeah, because my friend, he told me that his girl put the laptop under my mom's bed when she signed back into the hospital. Now, all of a sudden, there's no laptop.
Who has a laptop?
My aunt, but she's denying it.
Oh, she's denying that she has
and he already told me that the check was, he overheard the check was in the laptop. He should have been told me this. He tells me this in February. Now he's telling you that we found the check in my mom's house.
How'd you get your hands on the check? How'd you find it?
I had found a copy of the check with my name on it. And that's when he let me.
How did you find a copy of the check with your name on it?
It was in my mom's house, in her paperwork.
Can I see what you found?
I don't have the copy of the check, but I don't have the copy of the check, but I have a copy of the money I paid him.
Now, you do sign the promissory note. All right. And you then sue him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Because he won't pay you the $5,000?
Right.
All right. And your aunt sues you in a separate small claims case. All right. Now, what happens in your small claims case?
He showed up with a check for $5,000. Now.
When did you get to cash the check?
Sometime late January.
So you cash a check, but you don't pay him.
Right.
I had the money. I told him I had the money. He had my. I couldn't call him. I went down to his job. He's at another building and everything. Last time I talked to him, we were supposed to meet up at the bank. He stopped calling me. I can't call him. I don't have his number.
Well, you haven't paid your aunt though, right?
No, because she got my mom's laptop.
Okay. All right. Now hold on one second. What I don't understand is you had a lawsuit, and you say he shows up with $5,000. Was there a settlement? Did you folks speak to a mediator or speak to the judge?
Yes. No.
Yes, no. Do you have any paperwork from the court?
An arbitrator.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Do you have the paperwork from the court?
Yes.
Let me see your paperwork. Well, now, when you went to the funeral home on the day of your mom's funeral, what was your reaction when you saw the promissory note being placed in front of you?
Basically, I had no choice but to sign it, unless they wasn't going to pay it. And then I wanted to get an autopsy, but they rushing me.
How old are you?
26.
Okay.
And basically, they wasn't no help, so I was on my own.
All right. I'm reading something that says stipulation of settlement, okay? And it says, it is hereby agreed between the parties this claim is settled for $5,000. You have come to court a second time then, correct?
Right.
To sue for the $100 because it was $5,100?
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
So is the closest next of kin to somebody who dies responsible for paying the funeral costs?
No, absolutely not. Just because they're kin to each other, why should you have to pay? It could be like your.
What's the whole thing about blood's thicker than whatever?
No,
Perhaps if they're under 18, their parents would have to pay because they're not legally responsible for themselves yet.
But after
that, then no.
Okay, you're going to be the tiebreaker.
No.
That's the tiebreaker going inside the courtroom.
Do you understand what a settlement means? A settlement means it's over. And you have a $5,000 cap. If you don't want to be bound by a $5,000 small claims cap, then you don't go to small claims. You go to a higher court and hire a lawyer. But if you want to save the money of hiring a lawyer and you've decided to handle your matters in small claims, you don't get to sue over and over again until you get to a bigger amount. You're capped just like everybody else's capped. You're capped by $5,000, which you already got.
And then
Don't talk a second, because
sorry.
I'm trying to figure out here. Is there some other problem between the two of you that would cause you to get a $5,000 check and not let that $100 ride? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, one else seems to feel that the family members want some of his money. That seems to be his impression. I'm trying to tell you, we don't care about any of his money. We just want to be paid back what he agreed to pay us back.
Okay. So, but here's the problem that you have. The problem that you have is the same problem that every other small claims litigant has. You make a choice. I want to go to court. I want it to be cheap. I want to use the cheap method of going to court and resolving my problem. So I am capped at a certain amount. In some states, it's $2,000. In some states, it's $5,000. In some states, it's $15,000. In your state, it's $5,000. You went to court. You got $5,000. You can't then file a second lawsuit for $100,000.
I understand that now. I didn't
well, then you understand
before.
that. Then goodbye. There's nothing else to talk about.
Excuse me?
You don't understand it. You're not understanding it because if you did, you wouldn't have filed
I
the
understand what
lawsuit.
you're saying. I understand exactly what you said.
Okay. So we're done.
Okay.
Right. Okay. All right. Now you have a counterclaim for $2,000 overpayment of funeral costs. What are you talking about?
No, they don't supposed to be over. I just was countersuing him for $2,000 because I feel like they should have helped out.
Well, look, whoever.
We paid for the funeral.
Stop. Okay? There is no law that decides who's going to pay for somebody's funeral. This is something that people end up agreeing to.
No, I ain't saying they should have paid for those. I'm saying they should have helped out.
And you may feel that morally they should have, but that doesn't translate into a legal cause of action for you in court. You may feel like, well, I'm only 26, and he's the brother, and he's the loving brother, so why doesn't he help? And that may be how you feel, but whether or not you feel that way, that's not a legal obligation. The legal obligation would be to whoever's inheriting her estate, and that's really sort of you. But aside from that, it's also you because you agree for it to be you. And I understand that you feel like the circumstances are sort of unfair because you don't know this is going to happen. You think they're paying, and then they find out about the money, and I understand everything you're saying. But at the end of the day, you're a big boy, okay? And you agreed to pay for it, and so you have to pay for it. And you're a big boy, and you understand what a settlement is, and a settlement means exactly what the settlement papers say. It's over, and there's no additional lawsuit after that, okay? Verdict for the defendant.
Hold on right there, please, sir.
The plaintiff's leaving the courtroom right here. Step on in here. You done suing him now?
Do I have a choice? I have to be done.
Right.
Right.
Well, what has this done to the family and to the relationships?
Well,
I mean,
the family-
suing for the extra $150 may have seemed kind of excessive to him.
I don't think it did to him. I just think he just wanted something to protest. As far as I know right now, he's ostracized from the family. He broke up with the family before the funeral was even over. He cussed out everyone in the family, and I guess it's my turn now.
Well,
And as far as I'm concerned, he's not part of the family anymore.
is that permanent?
Permanent, of course.
Right down there. All right. Harsh.
I wasn't part of the family no more.
That's what he said.
It wasn't no family in the get-go. It wasn't no family. I was never.
Looked upon as family.
Yeah, me losing them now wouldn't make a difference from 10 years ago. They never did anything for me. It was just only my moms and my grandmoms anyway.
And the reason why he had the reason why that $20,000 was never cashed in the first place is because his mother knew that they were not civilized people. She saved that money aside for her son in the event of something like this. They were trying to get her to go out to Florida. If she would have went to Florida, we would have had no contact with her. No, we would have known anything about a funeral. So as family, her true family, we were the ones that's X'd out.
So you go on from here and you're okay with all this?
Yeah. The way we've been doing.
Over to Harvey.
Okay, Kurt, you know what? There are advantages and disadvantages to filing in small claims court. The advantages, the case gets heard a lot faster than in regular court, and also you don't have to pay for lawyers. The disadvantages, there are jurisdictional limits on how much you can sue for, so it's all a trade-off. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.